the Rules Committee to speak about my amendments because I'm Puerto Rican. I care deeply about the Puerto Rican people in my district, in my family, and throughout the world, including on the island of Puerto Rico. I've lived in Puerto Rico, been educated there, intend to die there someday, hopefully not in the near. The greatest nation in the world that fought colonialism to win its own freedom and independence from the British and set the standard for democracy and self-determination across the globe, today still embraces the colonial relationship it has with the people of Puerto Rico. The bill is an exclamation point on the colonial power the United States has over Puerto Rico. I don't think any of my colleagues in this body appreciate just how deeply offensive the bill is and is regarded by the people of Puerto Rico. The amendments I offer today reflect some of their greatest concerns. I ask that the committee rule on my amendments in order and to have given an opportunity to debate and consider. First and foremost, among the problems of the bill is the creation of the Financial Oversight and Management Board, or la Junta de Control, as it is already called in Puerto Rico. I don't know whether the Puerto Rican people could ever accept such a board under any circumstance, but this particular way it's construed in the bill requires me to put forward amendments that will highlight and hopefully change how the Junta de Control is forced on the people of Puerto Rico. As currently constructed, unlike other territories, who could vote for such a board? Should they face such an astronomical debt, the people of Puerto Rico get no say in who is appointed to the board, and that only one of the 7 unelected members is required to have any ties, not necessarily be Puerto Ricans, but have any ties to Puerto Rico. No one who is elected by the Puerto Rican people, no one, and is therefore accountable and answerable to the people who are being governed, has any say in the decisions that will affect almost every aspect of the life of the people. If that is not the definition of colonialism, I don't know what is. Not only that, but meetings of the Junta de Control can be conducted in secret, executive session, and there is no requirement that the information published or disseminated by the board be in the language that Puerto Rican people speak, namely Spanish. There is not transparency and there is not inclusion. This is not a fair and open process of solving the island's problems to the mutual benefit of all the parties involved. No, this is a proxy government that supersedes the duly elected government of the people of Puerto Rico, and everything that the Junta de Control does, if it is made public at all, can be conducted in the language that the people don't understand. For God's sake, at least the British, the colonial masters who burned down this building we now work in, spoke English, so when the king's decree could be understood by the common man and woman. But this board, at an estimated cost of $370 million in the first 5 years, is imposed on the people of Puerto Rico, and guess who has to pay for it? The people of Puerto Rico. Given that the government just missed the May 1st bond payment equal to what the board will cost, about $370 million, I wonder how much more austerity Puerto Ricans will have to swallow to pay for the board, and the government agencies who have to are required to cooperate. Madam Chairwoman, if we're casting aside Puerto Rico's government, which is what this bill does, and stacking it instead with people selected in Washington with no ties to Puerto Rico and conducting the business in English or in secret, the least the U.S. Congress should do is pick up the tab. Taxation without representation is never a good outcome for the United States House of Representatives. Not now, not ever. Beyond the insult and injury to the misguided nature of the overall bill and its failure to address the most basic issue that have put Puerto Rico in a financially precarious position, there is not enough in this legislation to address the fundamental problem: jobs, jobs, and jobs. Jobs that the Puerto Rican people can do in Puerto Rico to build a future for themselves and to raise generations of families on that island. Simply put, we have an opportunity of a Congress to create incentives for the Puerto Rican people to stay in Puerto Rico and grow the economy, and I think the bill goes too much in the opposite direction. Why you impose austerity measures on the people of Puerto Rico, as it's already happening in response to the crisis, and will no doubt be accelerated under the board, when you eliminate basic worker protections like the minimum wage, overtime, and you have other incentives to leave the island, like tax credits and health care that are not available to the island residents as they are on the island. 84,000 Puerto Ricans have done just that in the last year, 6,000 every month. And this bill will do nothing to reverse that. And I just want to make clear, 80% of them are going to Florida. In the next 4 years, you do the math about how many Puerto Ricans addition. They're all American citizens. Puerto Ricans are saying to themselves, hey, by comparison, in Orlando, I can work at a decent minimum wage like other citizens, get paid for overtime like other citizens, get ATIC, get child credit, tax credits like other citizens, get the doctors and health care I need like other citizens. Oh, and yes, I get to vote for president of the United States. So why not pay the $49? Because that's what JetBlue and the other airlines are on sale, is a ticket from Puerto Rico to Orlando. Why pay? I'm going to end by saying this, Madam Chairwoman. I know you've been very generous with your time. Look, if you're not going to pay the minimum wage, Puerto Rico has half the per capita income of Mississippi, the poorest state of the Union. If you're going to reduce the minimum wage to $4.25, how does that bode well for increasing any wealth of the people of Puerto Rico? All they have to do, ladies and gentlemen, these are American citizens, right? All they have to do is get on an airplane, come to the United States, and get on Medicaid and get $7.25 an hour minimum wage. Why would they stay on that island? And if they don't stay on the island, how is the government going to reap the tax dollars of this working people? I just say I think it's misguided on so many levels, and I thank the gentlelady and the chairwoman for allowing me to address these issues.
Mr. Sanford.
As my colleague just pointed out, this is an incredibly complex issue, and accordingly, I very much appreciate what Chairman Bishop and the committee has done in putting together a bill. I will say up front to my colleague from Alabama and my colleague from Colorado, I am old school on this front. Should my amendment go through, I would obviously vote for the bill. I don't know that I have to worry about voting for the bill, but that's a larger question. I think the sum of the amendment is, if you're going to have an oversight board,